But yeah, so it played there, and I got to meet a lot of like film people,
Gotcha.
and it got actually got theatrical distribution in Argentina.
Wow.
Not anywhere else in the whole world, but
Right.
that was really cool. And it just so happened, I think they weren't planning on doing that. I think they just bought it for like DVD and TV, and then I told them I was going, and they're like, well, we should put it in theaters then.
Right.
So it happened to be coming out like right while we were there.
Huh.
So we had like this like cred all of a sudden. Not a lot, but you could be like,
Enough.
oh yeah, go see our
Yeah.
movie in the theater, and you'll know what we're about. And so
Yeah, in that sense. So how did you raise the money for your first film?
just by saving for it, really.
Yeah. Right.
It was my first movie was made in my hometown, so
Which is?
Olympia, Washington,
Oh,
and
okay.
we
Huh.
didn't really spend anything.
Huh? Because you just use friends and.
Yeah.
But how big was your crew then?
It was the DP and the producer who was the sound guy, and then there was Sophia and I. Those were the people that flew there, and then and at that bar, because the producer sound guy is that guy who's like starts chanting USA. So I had a local friend, come record sound for us, but that was the only time when there was an extra crew member. I mean, when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and like that carried over a little bit into film school, and
Right.
I kind of started losing interest, and
Hmm.
I always like wrote a lot of dialogue. Like film school for me I didn't really do much at all. Like I mean, in terms of like stuff that I was happy with or feeling productive, it was more like I'm mostly thankful for it as a time where I could like just really do a bad job. Like, I'd write a lot of like mouthpiece type dialogue, and like, this is the way the world is. Like, oh
Right.
yeah, this is the way I feel about
Right.
And yeah, so my focus slowly shifted until I kind of was like, I felt like I couldn't. My first movie, I wrote a whole script that was like that.
Right.
And when it came time to make it, I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know if I want to put all this time, effort, and money into something that I'm not that excited about. So we just got rid of the script and
And
went
in
from
meeting
there.
your partner, the cinematographer,
London. Mhm.
did that really focus you in terms of how you wanted your style, what you wanted your style to be, or what you felt comfortable with, or was it before that, or when did you have that moment? Was there a light bulb moment that this is how I want to do things?
No, it was at that point. That's when I discovered movies that like didn't cost any money, like Joe
what?
Swanberg, and
Mm-hmm.
I started renting those and watching them. But those were all at that point really sketchy. Like they
Yeah.
were really handheld, and
Right.
they sounded terrible. And
Right.
but
Huh.
it was a starting point. And
Right.
yeah,
Oh,
I think I wanted my first movie to be like that, and we somehow eased our way into. We were also watching lots of like Jim Jarmusch before we started shooting, and we watched Down by Law a lot.
Right.
So the first movie's in black and white, and it's
Right.
like,
Oh, your first movie is
yeah,
black
and it's a little
white?
more like that. And those were kind of things that probably pushed us over into that visual style while maintaining the like improv-y, style of,
Dialogue.
yeah, like.
And is this very improv? I mean, what
Mhm.
kind of script did we have? Was it a little like give a scenario and then tell them what they're supposed to be playing off of, or were there actual lines? What was your process?
It was pretty much a script with no dialogue in it, like as though it had been taken out.
Gotcha.
I never wrote any, but that's how it looked. It was like, every scene had a very detailed description.
Right.
It just didn't say quite what they said.
Huh.
And then, yeah, the first month that we were there, we spent going through every dialogue scene and rehearsing it.
Wow.
And London would just hold the camera so that if I wanted, I could look at it later and we could talk about it. So
That's interesting.
that's why it feels like it's improvised, but it's like there's a little bit of there's a little more pause to it than you might see, because by the time we shot it, we had a pretty good idea of what we were going to say.
So you did rehearse quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. And then, any other questions? Yeah? Okay, sorry.
What was your budget?
It was, let's see, the cost of airfare for 4, 2 months of apartment. Yeah, cha-ching, but not cha-ching compared to, any other movie. Yeah, it was like, and then I just bought groceries while we were there, so $9,000. There's no casting. It's like, yeah, because we try to be flexible enough that it's not about an actor adapting to a role, but more of like the role adapting to the actor. It's just easier that way, really. And it is usually going to turn out a little more natural or genuine, or
right. You're not forcing it.
Hard to balance being a filmmaker and director and being the actor in your movie.
Yeah, totally. I mean, primarily for the reason I mentioned earlier, where I just wasn't ever quite as sure of what had happened as if I had been outside looking in. But it has one advantage that I really, really love, which is when you're improvising, you can direct as you go. So if I want the character to say a specific thing, I just say it. And it's really easy that way. And also, like, if you feel somebody moving in a direction you don't like, you can kind of try to pull them back.
Inside the scene, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So.
There's no notes. It's just the notes are going on as you're.
Yeah, which can be frustrating for everyone else from time to time. And then.
What was your process in terms of, checking things out and seeing if you got what you wanted, or?
Usually didn't look.
No?
I was probably too afraid.
Okay.
No, but we would whenever we got a take that I thought that I would want to use, I'd watch it right there.
Right there. Okay.
And then decide whether or not to do a couple more or quit or.
Did the team ever get together and you discuss it like?
Always, yeah.
Always. So at the end of the night, kind of, or in the evening.
Because we had the luxury of just stopping
did.
whenever we wanted and saying, well, we'll come back to this in half an hour. Let's just talk about it. It is, yeah.
That's real luxury. Yes.
How long was your script, like your shooting script?
I think it was 18 pages. Is a Word document, so Times New Roman, size 12, single spaced. But yeah. But I still did it had the all caps interior location, day or night, and then, but yeah, 18 pages. 80. But the first cut, based on the outline, was 100 minutes. So.
What's next for you?
What's next is I just finished a different movie, this month, that is way smaller, and I shot again in Olympia, in my hometown, and it didn't really cost anything. We just had all the equipment, and I kept it as small as possible. So I had to buy a hard drive, and one of the locations we shot in a local movie theater a lot. So.
And I want to thank you so much for
Thank you. It was
sharing
fun.
everything and being a part of this. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.